My name is Nassine Saps.
They Live is held in very high regard by conspiracists, especially if you're a movie buff like myself. This movie was, or is, the Matrix of the 80s, a film that portrays a sinister hidden reality most people can relate to because they know deep down that something in the world just isn't right. Though the movie often seems cheesy, it nonetheless conveys a strong message about the elite of the world and its utilization of mass media to keep the population under control. The star of the movie, Roddy Piper, was noted on Twitter saying, "They Live is a documentary." This was roughly 2 years before he died in 2015. Of course he was joking, at least a little bit, right? This movie is one of those rare subversive stories that forces viewers to question their world and their surroundings. Because, despite the fact that the movie is about ghoulish aliens, it communicates truths to the viewers that are only alluded to in mainstream movies. In fact, looking deeper into the storyline, one might realize that there's probably more science than fiction in this story. Are the aliens in the movie an imaginative way to portray the world's elite, those who secretly run the world, those that we call the Illuminati? Let's revisit this cult classic and see how it describes the hidden rule of the elite. Right from the beginning, as we see Nada walking around Los Angeles with his backpack, the movie sets a particular mood. Something is not quite right. There is a sense of impending doom in the air. Poverty is rampant, helicopters fly all around the city, and street preachers speak of soulless beings that rule the world.
They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth. Our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you.
During the summer of 2015, Martin pleaded guilty to a conspiracy charge at the Gouin courthouse in Montreal and admitted he was part of the Hells Angels' long and bloody conflict in Quebec with a group of rival organized crime groups. The conflict, commonly referred to as Quebec's biker gang war, ran from 1994 to 2002.
Cocaine. CMP effectively matched and exceeded every layer of sophistication. Investigation began in January of 2011 and initially focused upon the evidence suggesting a marijuana production and trafficking organization. The second phase of the project was developed when the investigation began in January of 2011 and initially focused upon the evidence suggesting a marijuana production and trafficking organization. The second phase of the project was developed when RCMP investigators gathered evidence indicating that the import and traffic 500 kilograms of cocaine. RCMP effectively matched and exceeded every layer of sophistication.
David Burgess. He was the world president of the Hells Angels. The only one above power, that had more power than him, of course, was the owner of the Hells Angels Corporation, which was Troy Regas. He was the manager for Dave Burgess at the Old Bridge Ranch, which Dave Burgess owned, which is now closed down because, well, he's in prison for tens of thousands of pictures being used in child pornography. Now, Dave Burgess and Troy Regas have been partners in crime for a long time. The Hells Angels, Reno Renegades, when they were Reno Renegades, and you know, through the brothel, the ranch and stuff. Anyways, David Burgess, he's in prison right now for tens of thousands of pictures of children being used in child pornography. Tens of thousands. That's a lot of pictures. That's a lot of kids. What the hell was he doing with tens of thousands of pictures being used in child pornography? That's a little more than some perverted hobby. You know, tens of thousands of pictures sounds more to me like an organization, organized crime. Like maybe a child pornography ring? I don't know, you tell me. What the hell was Dave Burgess doing with tens of thousands of pictures of children being used in child pornography? Who are these kids? Where are they? Are they missing kids? Are they kidnapped kids? Are they dead? Are they alive? Where are these kids? Why haven't the police or any in the investigations or the trial done, you know, when David went to trial, why didn't anybody bother to find out who these children are and where they are? There's a lot of families out there who have lost their children who have been kidnapped. Now listen to me. Tens of thousands of pictures, meaning that there's a lot of kids in there. Who are these children? Where are these children?
Kids are kidnapped. Okay. Then they're brought to a holding center. Usually the holding center is some kind of it's in a location where it's not that many people, and depending on the location, it might even be underneath the ground as well, in the so-called deep underground cities. Okay, so kids are put into cages. They're stripped butt naked. Okay, no clothes. They are given chemicals, various chemicals, basically drugged to get the kid to be compliant and malleable. If the kid is acting up, okay? If the kid is not acting up and if the kid is doing everything that they're told, usually they don't bother wasting the drugs on the kid to inject the kid with anything. But when the kid is acting up, then they'll give them the thing, okay? This is a chemical. It's a downer. It makes them drowsy, makes them sleepy, puts them into that alternate state of consciousness, okay? Because the nature of a kid's body, they don't have so much body weight, body mass, so you only need a little bit of the chemical to have an effect on the child, okay? These kids are used and they are sold to the highest bidder in auctions across the world. Okay, this is very upscale looking auctions. Okay. And in these auctions, the most terriblest, horriblest things you can imagine take place. And check out how stupid these people are. There are hidden cameras everywhere in these places with voice recording. So everyone is 100% blackmailed and 100% basically having evidence. And there's videographic evidence of them doing the most terriblest, horriblest things to various children, as well as videographic evidence of them actually engaging in the auction, selling of children. Okay? And this is where many of them end up. So they are bought and sold and then killed. Okay? So after these people have their way with the child is killed. So that's one place where kids end up. Tortured, a whole bunch of bad things, killed in auctions. Another place where the children end up is they are bought and sold and then moved again to another holding place where ultimately they are murdered in their satanic Luciferian rituals. Satanic Luciferian rituals happen not just on Halloween, not just on all of the solstices and all of these type of ancient holidays. Okay, no. Satanic Luciferian rituals happen daily, every single day. Okay, it's not just on some kind of special holiday where it happens. Okay, or some holy day where it happens, or the beginning of the year, or the end of the year. No, 365 days a year. Okay, every day, daily. This is a daily occurrence. It's not just, oh, it only happens on this day. No, it happens every day. This happens every day. Every single day it happens. So they're put in cages, and then they're murdered in a brutal way. That's what happens to these kids.
Hi, it's Tree. Okay, I want to show you something about Troy Regas, who is the owner of the Hells Angels Corporation. And this is from USA People USA People Search, a background check. Okay, and Troy, you know, and his alias, look, okay, Troy Peace or Troy Philip Regas and Mary S. Smith, aka Troy Regas, Trop Regas. Okay, and then it's got all of his properties, and if you look through it, if you go to just search Troy Regas and you'll see detailed background check, it'll show you, okay, and all his addresses and stuff, and all these houses were used for his international child pornography, human trafficking, snuff film ring, and all his neighbors and stuff, they all know each other, and they all live next to each other, and all the people like his associates and friends, they all share the same addresses as him, and they rotate houses. Basically, he's been married 20 times to these men under the name Mary Smith since he's been age 10. And guess what else? They're all dead. And I was made let to be known that his mother did it to make money off of him when he was a little boy, because he wasn't making any money off of the child pornography that he was born into. And I mean, whether, you know, I mean, I was let known about this stuff, but the fact remains, this is legal public documents. You can find out that he is Mary S. Smith, and that he is married to all of these men since age 10, and they're all dead. Okay, now what's up with that? Something ain't right there. 20 men and they're all dead, that Troy's been married to under Mary Smith. So 10 years old, you know his mom has had something to do with that, obviously. Okay. Alright, so what I'm saying, a suggestion is, you know, since I believe he is running an international human trafficking, child pornography, snuff film, kidnapping ring, and I was let known by this, well, I've known from many sources. And plus, Dave Burgess, the world president and Troy Regas' sidekick, went to prison for 15 years for tens of thousands of pictures of children being used in child pornography, when I've been saying for years and years and years that there's a child pornography ring going on, including the fact that I've talked to 4 children in Reno, Nevada, about 7 years ago, that told me about him and the child pornography ring and what they did to him, what they did to them. And it's also a Satan cult that he runs, and it's a generational Satan cult. What was happening in the underworld, okay, what the Bible was about and what the reptilians were about, and showed me the main characters that I was to focus on was Troy Regas, Dave Burgess, and the leader, and the Illuminati, and the leaders. And I didn't know about the Queen Elizabeth or the Illuminati until after 7 years after my vision. For the first 7 years, all it really showed me was about the Hells Angels and the underworld and what they are doing with everything I've been talking about. That's really what they wanted, but a long time ago too, though, when they tried to appear here in their natural state, their natural reptilian form, at different periods through time, that the humans rejected them and made fun of them and called them ugly and made them feel bad and hated. And you know, when they first came, they just wanted to coexist, and they used to only have to eat like one human every like 10 years in order to get the energy of the gods, literally the gods. I mean, energies like Atlantis and Sumerian mysteries, and you know, the reason that they had the powers of the gods is because they could eat one human and get that power that would last for like 10 years. Now they're not getting any power, they're barely able to sustain themselves, and they have to about eat like a human a day, because they need the biology of the blood and the flesh in order to be able to stay anchored inside the human body that they inhabit.